It all started on the 7th of May last year. It had been 3 months into the war between Russia and Ukraine, and a Russian missile struck the city known as Bakhmut, catching the Ukrainians completely off guard. At the time, there was not a single Ukrainian soldier near that area. Cut to a year later, the city looks to be on the verge of falling to the Russians. This has become Europe's bloodiest battle for ground troops since World War II. And expectedly, there is no clarity on who has rightfully claimed the region after all this fighting. On Sunday, Russia's defense ministry claimed that its forces took control of Bakhmut. Now, if this is true, it will be Moscow's first substantial victory in more than 10 months in the region. But soon after Russia's claim, the confusion started. At first, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said this in a statement.
I think no, but you have to understand that there is nothing. They destroyed everything. There are no buildings. It's a pity, it's tragedy, but for today, Bakhmut is only in our hearts. There is nothing on this place. So just ground and a lot of dead Russians, but they came to us. So that our defenders in Bakhmut, they did strong work. And of course we appreciate them for their great job.
Now, Zelensky's comments caused a stir worldwide because there was also a tweet that hinted at the fall of Bakhmut. But Zelensky quickly cleared the air and changed his stance. He then confirmed that Ukrainian forces are still present in the embattled city. And all is not lost. The Ukrainian president even went ahead and compared the destruction in Bakhmut to that of Hiroshima's.
I can honestly say that the photos of destroyed Hiroshima remind me of Bakhmut and other such towns. There is absolutely nothing alive. All the buildings are destroyed. There is not even an understanding of where each street is and where each building is. This is absolute total destruction. There is nothing. There are no people.
All right, now let's understand the geography of Bakhmut. Where is this region? It is part of the Donetsk Oblast, which makes it crucial for Russia, because Donetsk is part of the 4 regions Moscow annexed through its referendums. So, to capture the last remaining urban center, Moscow desperately needs Bakhmut. Experts believe that Bakhmut is still contested, because even as the Russians push forward inside the city, their forces on the city's northern and southern outskirts are retreating. The war is witnessing its fastest pace after a long time, and both sides know that the momentum is shifting. So if the shots are not called now, it might be too late. All right, for more on this development, we have Colonel David, who's joining us live from the Bahrain capital. He's a professor at the National Defense University. Welcome to the broadcast, Professor.
Thank you.
David, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky likens Bakhmut's devastation to Hiroshima after World War II. What are your thoughts on this comparison?
Yeah, I think he actually said something that, he didn't want to compare them because the destruction of that. But I think the point he was trying to make was that there's very little left of Bakhmut. Just as in the areas around the bombing site of Hiroshima, there was very little left. So I think what he's trying to do, while he was visiting the museum of the destruction of Hiroshima, was to point out that Bakhmut has been destroyed as well.
Right. David, how does Bakhmut help further Russia's cause? And if the city decisively falls to Russia, what's next on the radar for Russia?
Yeah, good question. So Bakhmut itself is relatively insignificant. It's not a key junction. It's not, dominating terrain. The reason why it's significant is because Russia chose to make it significant, and in particularly the Wagner group. That was a city that they tried to take on their own, I think, to sort of differentiate themselves as a more elite force in the Russian military. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. They wound up drawing in Russian MOD assets into this incredible meat grinder. The Ukrainians fought tenaciously, basically trying to bleed the Russian machine and to bleed Wagner in particular. So it's become significant as a propaganda tool. I think that if Russia were to not occupy all of Bakhmut at some point, that would be a setback. But I think Russia obtaining the whole city, particularly given that there's nothing left there, doesn't really have a major effect on the impact of the war.
Thank you for all those inputs, Colonel David. That was Colonel David joining us from Bahrain.
Thank you.